I'm Kara, and let me tell you something. When a man can't appreciate what he has, he deserves everything that's coming to him. Anyway, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoy my stories, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. 2 years ago, I met Wayne at Bryant's birthday party. Wayne wasn't like the other guys there. He had this intense focus, like he was always calculating something in his head. Not in a creepy way, but in a way that made you feel like you mattered when his attention was on you. He worked in some technical field that paid well, and he had this apartment that was actually clean and organized. Most guys our age live like college freshmen, but Wayne had his life together. Within 3 months, I'd moved in. Look, when you click with someone, why waste time? My lease was up anyway, and Wayne's place was so much nicer than my cramped studio. He seemed thrilled to have me there, always talking about our apartment and our future. It was sweet, really. The first few months were amazing. I'd cook dinner sometimes. I'm actually a pretty good cook when I want to be. And we'd split groceries. Wayne would come home from his long days, looking exhausted but happy to see me. He'd tell me about his projects, and I'd listen, even though half of it went over my head. I was working retail, then nothing glamorous, but it paid my share. Then my startup idea hit me. I'd always been good at motivating people, getting them excited about possibilities. Why not turn that into a business? Life coaching was booming, and I had natural charisma. Wayne was supportive at first, even helped me set up my website and social media accounts. You're going to be amazing at this, he'd say, and I believed him. When I quit my retail job to focus on building my brand, Wayne didn't even blink. I believe in you, he said. Take the time you need to get it off the ground. See, this is what I mean about him being different. He understood that success takes sacrifice. The coaching business was harder to launch than I expected. Building a client base takes time, and there's so much competition. I was posting daily content, reaching out to potential clients, attending networking events. It was exhausting work that Wayne couldn't see because it wasn't bringing in money yet. He'd come home to find me on my laptop and assume I'd been relaxing all day. How did the business stuff go today? He'd ask, and I could hear the subtle doubt in his voice, like he thought I was just playing around on social media instead of building something real. It was frustrating because I was working harder than I ever had, just not in a way he could understand. After a few months, Wayne started making little comments. Maybe you could pick up some part-time work while you build the business. Or, I saw that coffee shop is hiring. He didn't get that taking a step backward would kill my momentum. You can't build an empire while serving lattes. I started noticing how Wayne would tense up when bills came in. He'd sit at his kitchen table with his laptop and calculator going through everything line by line like some kind of accountant. It was pathetic how stressed he'd get over money. I mean, he made decent money. What was the big deal about covering expenses for a few months while I got established? The worst part was how he'd look at me sometimes like he was doing math in his head, calculating what I cost him probably. It made me feel like a burden instead of a partner building something together. When you love someone, you support their dreams without keeping score. But Wayne was always keeping score, always tracking every dollar like it was some kind of competition. I tried to explain that my coaching business was an investment in our future, but he just didn't get it. He was too focused on immediate returns to see the bigger picture. By month 8, Wayne's whole energy had shifted. He'd come home from work with this tight expression like he was carrying the weight of the world. Instead of asking about my day, he'd go straight to his laptop and start reviewing finances. Every night, the same routine. Spreadsheets, calculator, that little crease between his eyebrows. Getting deeper. Kara, we need to talk about money. And became his favorite phrase. Not how was your day beautiful, or you might tell me about your coaching calls. Just straight to the money talk, like that's all I was worth to him. I'd gotten 2 coaching clients by then. Reagan, who was working through some career stuff, and this other woman who wanted help with confidence. It wasn't a lot of money yet, but it was progress. Wayne couldn't see that, though. He was too obsessed with his precious budget to recognize that I was building something real. The breaking point came when he printed out a spreadsheet, an actual spreadsheet like I was some kind of business expense he needed to analyze. He sat me down at the kitchen table with this thing laid out between us, all highlighted and organized. It was insulting. Look at this, he said, pointing to numbers I didn't want to see. 2 years of expenses. I've contributed $47,000. You've contributed $1,340. The way he said it so cold and factual, like our relationship was just a math problem he needed to solve. I couldn't even look at him. Here I was building a business that could change our lives, and he was reducing everything to dollars and cents. Wayne, you know my coaching business is about to take off, I said, not looking up from my phone. I was actually responding to a potential client inquiry, but he probably thought I was just scrolling social media. Once I get more clients, everything will change. What coaching business? His voice had this edge to it that I'd never heard before. You've had 2 clients in a year. That's when I looked up. The disrespect in his tone was unbelievable. 2 clients was 2 more than he'd ever had. At least I was trying to build something instead of just going to the same job every day like a robot. Are you seriously doing this right now? I stood up, grabbing my purse. I'm trying to manifest abundance, and you're bringing this negative energy into our space. Negative energy. He actually laughed, but not in a good way. I'm asking you to contribute to the household you live in. That's when it hit me. He didn't see me as a partner. He saw me as a freeloader. After everything we'd built together, after all the support I'd given him, he was reducing me to a financial transaction. It was heartbreaking. You know what? I said, heading for the door. Some men just can't handle a strong, independent woman. I thought you were different. I could see him processing that, probably running more calculations in his head. Wayne was always so literal, so focused on the surface level of things. He couldn't understand that independence isn't about money. It's about having the courage to pursue your dreams. I left and went to Reagan's place. She was so supportive, reminding me that I didn't need that kind of negativity in my life. You're building something amazing, she said. Don't let anyone dim your light. That night, I posted on Instagram, some men just can't handle a strong, independent woman. Know your worth, boss ladies. Unbothered. Within minutes, I had dozens of likes and comments from women who understood what I was going through. You don't need that energy, queen. His loss. Men are so intimidated by successful women. It felt good to have that support, to know I wasn't crazy for expecting more from a partner. I was still at Reagan's place, feeling supported by all the love on my post, when my phone started buzzing with Venmo notifications. At first I thought maybe Wayne was apologizing, sending me money for dinner or something. But when I opened the app, my stomach dropped. 1 cent. He'd sent me 1 cent. But it was the caption that made my hand shake. Here's your independence fee. We're done. Pack your stuff. And then, and this is where it gets really sick, he'd tagged every single person who'd liked my Instagram post. Bryant, Carly, Reagan, even people from my networking events. Everyone could see it. I immediately opened Instagram to delete my post, but the damage was already done. Wayne had commented, independent women pay their own rent. Check your Venmo. The post was gone within minutes, but screenshots live forever. My phone started ringing immediately. Reagan, my sister, even my mom. I couldn't answer. I was too humiliated, too angry, too everything. What Wayne did was cruel and calculated. He knew exactly how to hurt me in the most public way possible. This wasn't the man I'd fallen in love with. This was someone cold and vindictive, someone who would use our private struggles to embarrass me in front of everyone we knew. I drove back to the apartment, hoping we could talk like adults. Maybe he'd had time to cool down and realize how awful his little stunt was. But when I got there, he was packing my things, not throwing them around or being dramatic, just methodically folding my clothes and putting them in boxes like I was already gone. Wayne, please, I said, and I could feel tears starting. That Venmo thing was so humiliating. Everyone's calling me, asking what happened. He didn't even look up from folding my sweaters. What happened is you've been living off me for 2 years while calling yourself independent. That's not fair. You know I've been building my business? What business? Kara A. Now he looked at me, and his eyes were different. Harder. You have a website and an Instagram account. That's not a business. I tried to explain about client development, about building a brand, about how success doesn't happen overnight. But he just kept packing like I wasn't even there. It was the most disrespectful thing anyone had ever done to me. You can't just kick me out, I said. I live here too. Do you... He pulled out his phone and showed me something. Because according to the lease, only my name is on it. According to the utility bills, only my name is on those too. According to every single financial record of this place, you're a guest who overstayed her welcome. The way he said it was so matter-of-fact, so cold. Like he'd been planning this moment, waiting for the right time to throw it in my face. This wasn't the Wayne I knew. This was someone who'd been keeping score all along, building a case against me. I can't believe you're doing this, I said. after everything we've been through. Everything we've been through? He actually laughed. You mean everything I've paid for while you played entrepreneur? That's when I realized Wayne had never believed in me. Not really. He'd been tolerating my dreams, waiting for me to fail so he could say, I told you so. The man I thought loved me had been judging me this whole time, adding up receipts and planning his exit strategy. Fine, I said, grabbing one of the boxes. But don't expect me to just disappear. I have rights. Actually, he said, pulling out more papers, you don't. You're not on the lease, you haven't established legal residency, and you haven't contributed to household expenses. Legally, you're a guest I am asking to leave. Even then, he was calculating. Even in our breakup, he was 3 steps ahead. I spent the next few days at Reagan's trying to figure out my next move. Wayne had been so thorough, so prepared. It was like he'd been planning this for months, just waiting for the right moment to destroy me. But I wasn't going to let him win that easily. My phone kept buzzing with notifications. People were sharing screenshots of Wayne's Venmo post, and suddenly, everyone had an opinion about our relationship. Former friends were coming out of the woodwork to tell stories about how I'd borrowed money or asked for favors. It was like Wayne had given them permission to attack me. The worst part was discovering that Wayne had been collecting evidence against me for months. Screenshots of my Instagram posts about manifesting abundance while he paid rent. Records of every time I'd asked him to cover something just this once. He'd been building a case documenting everything like he was preparing for court. But then I found something that changed everything. While packing the last of my things from his place, I discovered Wayne's hidden credit card statements. 3 cards I'd never seen before, all nearly maxed out. $18,000 in debt that he'd never mentioned while lecturing me about financial responsibility. My hands were shaking as I looked through the charges, expensive dinners, shopping sprees, even what looked like payments to some kind of service I didn't recognize. All while he was making me feel guilty about grocery money. When I confronted him about it, Wayne's whole demeanor changed. The tears stopped, the victim act disappeared, and suddenly he was threatening me. He claimed I'd given him permission to handle finances, even showed me old text messages where I'd said, just handle it, when I was exhausted. But here's the thing. I'd been talking about ordering takeout, not opening credit cards in my name. Wayne had twisted my words, used my trust against me. While I was building a legitimate business, he was committing actual fraud. The confrontation got ugly. Wayne threatened to call the police, claimed I was harassing him, even said he'd file a restraining order. But I had evidence now, screenshots of the credit card statements, proof that he'd been lying about everything. That's when the real Wayne came out. Not the organized, calculating man I'd lived with, but someone desperate and cornered. He admitted he'd opened the cards without my knowledge, claimed that he deserved compensation for supporting me. Like my dreams and ambitions were just expenses he could charge interest on. I recorded everything. His admissions, his threats, his complete breakdown when he realized I wasn't going to just disappear quietly. The man who'd publicly humiliated me was falling apart, and for the first time in months, I felt like I had some power back. The legal battle that followed was brutal. Wayne tried to paint me as a gold digger, a woman who'd used him for money while contributing nothing. But I had my evidence. The fraudulent credit cards, the recordings of his admissions, proof that he'd been living a double life while making me feel like a burden. The truth came out slowly, piece by piece. Wayne's friends started sharing their own stories about loans he'd never repaid, business deals that had gone bad, a pattern of financial manipulation that went back years. I wasn't his first victim. I was just the most recent. Reagan and Carly rallied around me, helping me document everything. We found other women Wayne had dated, all with similar stories of being made to feel financially inadequate while he secretly lived beyond his means. He had a type, ambitious women he could undermine while boosting his own ego. The credit card fraud case was straightforward. Wayne had used my personal information without permission, opened accounts in my name, and racked up debt that destroyed my credit score. The DA's office was interested, especially when they learned about the pattern of behavior with other victims. But Wayne's family had money, real money. They hired lawyers who turned the case into a character assassination, painting me as a bitter ex-girlfriend making false accusations. They dug up every mistake I'd ever made, every time I'd borrowed money from friends, every ambitious post I'd made about my coaching business. The settlement was smaller than it should have been, but it was enough to clear my name and restore my credit. More importantly, the truth was out there. Wayne's reputation was destroyed. His professional network knew what kind of person he really was, and his family's money couldn't buy back the respect he'd lost. 18 months later, I'm rebuilding my life in a new city. My coaching business is actually thriving now. Turns out surviving financial fraud and emotional manipulation gives you real wisdom to share with clients. I have genuine independence now, the kind that comes from knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you. Wayne's still fighting legal battles, still trying to rebuild his image. His family's money can buy lawyers, but it can't buy back trust. The man who thought he was so smart, so calculating, so superior is learning that actions have consequences. I saw him recently at a coffee shop downtown. He looked older, tired, like the weight of his own lies was finally catching up with him. He saw me too, and for a moment our eyes met. I smiled and waved, genuinely happy with where my life had taken me. He looked away quickly, probably running more calculations in his head. But some equations don't have solutions, and some debts can never be repaid. Between us, I wanted to walk over and thank him. His betrayal taught me what real strength looks like, what genuine independence actually means. It's not about the money you make or the lifestyle you can afford. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone diminish it. My coaching business tagline now is "From Victim to Victor," and I mean every word of it. Wayne thought he was destroying me, but he actually set me free.